Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Nathan, would you take the roll, please?
Councilmember McPherson?
Here.
Councilmember Biggs?
Here.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Here.
Mayor Steer?
Here. And if you'll join me, pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item is the consent agenda. Any questions or comments or things you want pulled for discussion? Or a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as published. I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion? Nathan, would you poll the council, please?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Next item is public comment. I didn't have anybody who signed in. Is there anybody who wishes to address the council? All right. That takes us to public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry, external reports. Crime Stoppers, Casey and Bree, you may have the floor.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. I'm Bree Mason. I'm the president of Crime Stoppers of Southwest Idaho. This is my second time presenting to you guys. This would be our third contract year, and hopefully we can continue this partnership. Good? Okay. Okay, so obviously, like I said, we are Crime Stoppers of Southwest Idaho. We are a nonprofit behind the phone number 208-343-COPS. We give the community the ability to remain anonymous and report information to law enforcement to assist in capturing fugitives that are evading arrest. We do have the option to provide tipsters up to $1,000 reward depending on the level of the crime and the severity of it. The funds that we receive from the city do not go towards those rewards. Those rewards are funded by community partnerships, business sponsorships, and private donations. Okay. So we currently contract with Caldwell, Nampa, unincorporated Canyon County, Eagle, Cuna, Garden City, and unincorporated Ada County. So we currently contract with each of them. However, we do still receive tips for Boise, Meridian, Star, Middleton, Twin Falls, and Mountain Home. And they just don't receive all of the extra stuff that goes along with our contracts with our contracted cities like Cuna.
Chief, did you notice that Cuna was much bigger than Eagle and Ada County even? Well, I think it's just how good we are.
You know, I won't have favorites on record. So, like I said, we are a way of receiving tips. We just filter the information. The information that we receive can be done through our phone number, like I mentioned. We have a website, 343cops.com, as well as a P3 app that people can download and submit information. That goes to law enforcement, to Fertusco and Ada County, and then they determine from there if it's worth working, and then they follow up with us on the success. So how we fulfill our agreement, so part of our agreement with you guys is we have a 24/7 call center run out of Texas, so somebody can call 343-COPS anytime, and Texas receives that information. There's no way of tracking them. There's no way of us to know who it is, where they're calling from. It's all anonymous. And like I said, we also have our website, the P3 app. That's a lot of where our funding goes from the cities and the counties. And then we also do a city event for each contracted city. So this year we just attended CUNA Days and had a booth set up there and hung out Friday and Saturday, and it was wonderful. It was great to interact with the community. So our fiscal, as you guys know, everything on here is going to run as the fiscal year. So October of 23 through September of this year is already contracted. So the stats that you're going to hear are going to be that. So it's going to be from October of last year through current. But our annual budget's $80,000, and the CUNA portion of that for fiscal year 25 would be $3,032 is what we would be requesting. We did decide we've kept our per capita number of 11 cents per capita, but with demographics going up, that's what's increased that. I'm sorry, the 24 was $3,000, that's what it was previously. 25 would be $34.65, so just about $400 going up. Like I said, that goes to our tip software, our website, our call center, our phone, all the trailer, swag that we gave out at CUNA Days, and then we also have administrative support. We've been so lucky to be able to hire an administrative coordinator to help handle all the behind the scenes. Up until now, we have been an all-volunteer board doing this. So, and then, like I mentioned, we do pay out rewards, but those are all done and paid out by donations and corporate sponsors. So for fiscal year 23, we had 88 total tips. This is for Ada County, and 2 arrests. And then so far, fiscal year 24, we're at 92. We don't have any arrests yet for our contracted cities. However, I did want to add that including the rest of Ada County, we have received 651 tips, and we've had 5 arrests that we've assisted law enforcement in getting, which obviously we're very proud of. And then for our program as a whole, in 23, we had 1,250 tips, 21 arrests. So far this year, we're at 981 with 11 arrests for our program as a whole. And then for fiscal year 23 and 24, we had 26 rewards approved, and we paid out a total of $6,000, which is what came out and was paid to anonymous tipsters. So here's some photos from CUNA Days, I just, again, we really appreciate your guys' support of the program. At the end of the day, we are so lucky to have law enforcement that we do. They do a wonderful job. Our goal is just to be an extra resource to them and an extra tool in their tool belt as well as the communities. So we would love to continue your partnership, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, questions?
I have a nice second career going around telling all my neighbors.
Call Crime
We're all about it. Anytime, anywhere, we'll come speak. This is Rod Carr. He's been on our board for a while. If you guys don't mind, he'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
My name is Rod Carr. I've been on the board for Crime Stoppers for over 15 years. I work with New York Life, and I've been with New York Life since 1994. As you consider these things and the wonderful support that you guys have given us, what does it take to put a deputy on the streets? And the thing with Crime Stoppers, it provides those extra eyes and ears out there that hears things to protect our community. The other thing in New York Life is we have partnered with Crime Stoppers, not just monetarily, but also we are doing our child ID program. In each municipality that we go to, we will set up our New York Life tent besides Crime Stoppers, and what we do is we do our child ID program, which is taking a video of your child and fingerprints. In the event that something tragic happens to your child, the parents have that information. We do not keep any of it. So it's one thing, it's just a service that we provide. We believe in Crime Stoppers, and like I said, it's a board position I've held for 15 plus years. And it has been a wonderful opportunity to serve, and we thank you so much for your support.
Good, thank you. Well, we certainly appreciate all that you do. I know that it's a big task, and the police can use all the help they can get. So
Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for your time. I appreciate it.
you bet. Thank you. All right, so now we have the public hearing on the ordinance 2024-20 for the budget. Jared Empey.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jared Empey, City Treasurer. Before you tonight is the citywide budget for fiscal year 2025. This budget is for the period beginning October 1st, 2024, and will end September 30th, 2025. What you see before you tonight is identical to the tentative budget that the council approved 4-0 on July 16th, 2024. The budget presented tonight, as discussed in June and July, was designed with several objectives in mind. First, we wish to maintain the city's current level of service through adequately funding public safety, parks, public works, and administrative functions. We refer to this as operations and maintenance. Second, the budget is designed to fund future obligations of the city, such as asset replacement, or more commonly known as depreciation. This obligation has been acutely impacted by inflation and supply chain disruptions, making all of these future obligations much more expensive than the historical cost, often by a factor of 2 to 3. Another example of future obligation retirement is our latecomer obligations, in which the city currently owes $6.3 million to various developers for oversized infrastructure, paid out over a 10-year period. Thirdly, the figures before you are designed to provide feasibility for future capital projects that require an often prohibitive upfront cost. One example of this is a future overpass. Fourthly, the budget is designed to provide certainty for city services amidst legislation that has recently passed. Lastly, the budget has been formulated to cover any reasonable yet unforeseen expenses of the city. A simple example of this are early failure of infrastructure, recessions, and changes in demographic and migration trends. As you make your deliberations and weigh the needs of the city, I encourage you to approve the budget as published. I will stand by for any question you or the public may have.
Okay, questions for Jared?
Yes, please.
Yes, Commissioner Lerwick.
I haven't seen it in here, but do we have the budget to operate and run water sewage east? I see the numbers, but we have to hire people to run it, I'm assuming.
Yes, so Councilman Laraway, so the fund to operate the water and wastewater system that Meta is dedicating to us is located in the funds labeled Water East and Sewer East funds. So those funds are dedicated for that. And we have rate studies that have been approved, that have gone through studies through Keller, and we're confident that we'll be able to operate those effectively and also make sure that we have staff to support those.
Okay, thank you.
So once they turn that over to us, we get to send them a bill.
That's a good thing.
So Jared, that 3.2 million-ish for that's O&M and personnel.
Councilman Biggs. So, could you point me precisely with what you're referring to?
Proposed, what was that, on page 3, where you have the water east and sewer east. I was just confirming, when you mentioned those amounts, it's 1.7 and 1.5 million.
Yes.
Water, so that's O&M and personnel.
Yes, precisely. So, so the Water East will have a budget of 1.7 million, and the Sewer East Fund will have a budget of 1.5, 1.6 million. So the reason for that is to not only provide for operations and maintenance, but also future replacement cost, because the total cost of those dedications are in excess of $100 million. So we want to make sure that we get it right at the beginning rather than playing catch up. So.
Okay, further questions? I think since Jared's come on, he's done a fantastic job of making sure that we
aren't going in the hole, and we stay flush, and we're prepared for just about anything. So I appreciate his hard work and effort, and mainly his expertise in this field. So he's definitely been a good asset for the city. Okay, this is a public hearing. I had one person sign in. Did you wish to testify? Okay, because you didn't check the box. That's okay, I'll forgive you. Is there anybody else who wishes to testify in this matter that didn't get a chance to sign in? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Beverly Wolf, 3420 West Commemoration Avenue in Meridian. So last year, I didn't understand what this was, but I do now. So you're telling us you're going to sufficiently raise the tax on our properties to provide for the appropriate expenditure and sums of money to defray the necessary expenses and liabilities of the city. Well, there's too many lines to go through, but a couple that come off the top of my head is the question on Meta. Is any of that in this budget going to come out of our back pocket? Are we covering the police department? I sat through the review, and it sounds like we're understaffed at the police department based on the per capita of our city. I believe they asked for 2, but when the question was asked, we could really use 8 officers. I'm just looking through some paperwork from an assessment from the county of Ada. And just between 2022 and 2023, CUNA Fire required a 73% change in costs, so I guess that's coming out of our taxes. The funny thing about property taxes that I think a lot of you who have said things in meetings don't understand is when we, the people, the little people who pay the bill, get the bill that says property tax at the top, but then we get the discussion that, well, we're not raising your taxes, or the school district's doing this or that. The problem is all these things are on the piece of paper that says property tax bill. Now, I get that the assessor is collecting that, but to the novice person, that's my property tax bill. I don't get to not pay something on it, right? I can't just pay the city and leave out the police department or the fire department. I can't say, you know what, I'm not for this school bond, so I'm not gonna pay it. So as you're growing quickly and continuing to approve projects, what portion is the commercial supporting? And I know from being here, and I get your job is hard, I get it, I'm jumped in to try to help. But we the people are hurting. We the people are seeing our taxes go up, our insurance go up, on our cars, on our properties. Our HOA dues are going up at crazy rates. I mean, I don't get a raise that fast. But thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you. I think one point is the police department. So our goal is always to have 1 officer per 1,000 in population. We're not quite there. What we do, though, is the police chief comes in with his requests and provides that to the treasurer. And if they need more, they'll ask for more. But for right now, I think because of the way things are working, they're happy with what they've got. Well, that's a goal. And we don't want to have to go to the taxpayers and ask for a levy rate increase just so we can put more people in a building. And so right now they're getting the job done. They're doing a good job with it. So if it was detrimental and there was a public safety issue, then we would look into that deeper. All right. Was there anybody else that wished to testify in this matter? All right. Seeing none.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing and move to deliberation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
You have anything?
No, as usual, Jared's done a great job, you know, he put the numbers out so dumb guys like me can understand them and see where the money's going and where it's coming from, and it's good.
I'm a concerned taxpayer too, but I think Jared's covered almost everything, and with Meta coming online this year, once they get that valuation, that's gonna be huge, for the city, for property taxes for everybody. And I think the 3%, property tax offset from that number is, the value is definitely, there.
I think it's been very helpful to have the workshop meetings in the council meetings that we've had leading up to this tonight, so makes it a lot easier to understand the entirety of the budget and what's necessary, so again, I think that's very beneficial. And I really like the fact that we do that within our council meeting instead of having separate meetings that people have to come to if they want to listen into it, so I think that's the right way to do it, and that's what we've been doing, so.
Do you have something?
I just had a couple of questions about the wastewater sewer plant. Do you have, are you in your budget, are you increasing personnel? Have you requested to increase personnel?
Sure, Councilmember Laraway, Adam Wenger, Public Works. We have a request in and are currently plan to be interviewing for one additional personnel with a second plausible. The second could be dedicated to the plant or to Meta, depending on which type of applicant we can receive.
And does that bring you up to staff?
That would be my assumption, yes. That the two would make us flush.
And how many are you going to have to hire for the east property?
One of those would be included for the east.
Just one person?
One from water, one from waste is our current intent, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I think with talking with people in the community and seeing that the levy, didn't pass and property taxes being top of mind, I spoke with Jared about actually not taking the 3% and just carrying lower account balances in our accounts. I think that we can have our hand on the knob of property tax and we can make a lot more difference than the state can. But I understand what you guys are saying as well, so it'll be a no for me, but I just wanted to at least say that.
A no for the entirety of the budget, or?
I'd like to
a no
forego
for
the
that
I'd like to
portion?
forego the 3% and just carry lower account balances, but I think with what I've heard them say that it'll pass anyway.
Well, I mean, you can actually specify that you're not in favor of the 3%, but the rest of the budget is fine. I mean, I'd hate to see you say no to the entirety of the budget when there's one thing that you would like to see done differently. I think you can just add that into your vote.
Okay, I'd like to ask Jared a question. So just the part where I'm going back to the Meta coming online, the amount of taxes between the full, I guess, taking the full 8%, which is not quite the full 8%, like you were telling me before, but that's quite a significant amount. Because I agree with, Councilman Bruce about, trying to stave off wherever we can a little bit, but we're talking about a pretty serious amount of money that will come back into the community, if I'm not mistaken.
So Councilman Biggs, that's correct. So basically, the way our current city works is, once we have about 200 million in new construction, we basically top out. That's where we reach that 8% limit in increase, just mathematically every year. And given that Meta is at least a $500 million project, plus you have to add in the core of the city, that'll mean that in 1 year we see an addition to our tax roll of 700 million at least. And so basically what that will mean is that most people should see anywhere from a 15 to a 20% tax reduction on their bill, just based off of that one tax shift alone.
And that's if we maximize the, I guess, the new construction and property tax rate.
That's correct.
Yeah, which was kind of the reason that we started that whole industrial zone in the first place, was because we don't have a freeway running through us, so we're not gonna get the big office buildings and the Western State Cap and all of those things like Meridian gets along the freeway. So the best way for us to increase our commercial tax base was through that industrial zone, and just this one project is making that happen, so that's our best way to lighten the load on residential property tax.
You have a motion?
Well, first, it would look like we need to waive the 3 readings of ordinance 2024-20.
No, this is a public hearing. Right,
You closed it, though.
for deliberation.
Yeah, so we're approving the ordinance for the budget. And the so Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but by approving this ordinance, that is approval for the budget?
Mark Bybee, City Attorney, yes, that's correct, and so I just think, what Councilman McPherson's asking is, do we need to waive the 3 readings still? And if we're not going to do 3 readings, then I'd encourage waiving the 3 readings, yes.
Good, so yes.
Okay, I would move we waive the 3 readings of ordinance 2024-20.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
Mayor, sorry, Doug over here is pointing out, when we opened the hearing, we actually did not read the ordinance caption.
Oh, I'll read that first ordinance.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and so that's the ordinance we would be approving.
All right, this is an ordinance entitled the Annual Appropriation Ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025, providing for findings, providing for the adoption of a budget, and the appropriation of expenditure of sums of money to defray the necessary expenses and liabilities of the city of Kuna in accordance with the object and purposes and in the certain amounts herein specified for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024, and ending September 30, 2025, authorizing a levy of sufficient tax upon the taxable property of the city of Kuna, and providing for an effective date, and the filing of a certified copy of this ordinance with the Idaho Secretary of State, the Ada County Clerk, and the Idaho State Tax Commission. There's that first reading.
There it is. I won't make you do it again.
All right, so now we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And that motion carries.
I would move we approve ordinance 2024-20.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval of the ordinance. Is there any further discussion?
I wanted to ask, Councilman Bruce, Mr. Mayor, is there any alternate, thing you want to propose? Maybe I'm just curious about your thoughts on the property tax.
Well, I mean, I think if you guys are content with what it is, the only thing I would like to remove is the 3% of property tax, and then just carry a lesser balance in our accounts. But if you guys, I mean, if the 3 of you are okay with it, then you have the votes to carry it. So it's, I mean, it's a moot point.
But I hear
Yeah.
your stance, so, and so does the mic.
I just think if we look at, we look at what our budget has been over the last 3 cycles, we're continuing to grow. I know our city's growing, but not like our budget has been over time. If you go to Transparent Idaho and look at some of the numbers there, but I mean, I get where all you guys stand. I can appreciate that.
Okay, any further discussion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
No.
And that motion carries.
I would move we approve summary publication of ordinance 2024-20.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Next, we have case number 2403-S, preliminary plat, Valor West Amendment and Valor Classical Academy. The applicant requests approval to amend and approve the preliminary plat to modify 131 lots, which is 111 residential lots, 14 common lots, and 4 shared driveways, 1 park lot, and 1 school lot. The site is located at the northwest corner of Cuna Road and South 5 Mile within Section 23, T2N R1E, Boise Meridian. Doug Hansen.
Good evening, Councilman. For the record, Doug Hansen, CUNA Planning and Zoning, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA, Idaho. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted to approve the special use permit for the school land use and design review for the subdivision's open space on June 11th, 2024. This amendment would drop the total number of residential lots from 386 into 360. ACHD is not requiring an updated traffic impact study for this plat amendment. A future design review application will be required to review the school site to include landscaping, parking, circulation, and buildings, and the TIS school site checklist will be submitted to ACHD for acceptance as a component of that future application. Staff would note one correction for the record. The preliminary plat references CUNA School District as the servicing school district, whereas the site is bisected by the CUNA School District to the west of the 5 Mile alignment and West Ada School District to the east of the 5 Mile alignment. Upon review, staff finds the application to be in compliance with CUNA City Code, the Comprehensive Plan, Idaho Code, and the approved development agreement. Should the council approve the application this evening, staff recommends the applicant be subject to the conditions of approval as listed in staff's report. The applicant is here this evening with a presentation beginning on page 141 of the packet. And with that, I will stand by for any questions.
Questions for Doug?
No.
All right. Mr. Tate, would you like to give your presentation?
You can control the slides with the mouse up there as well.
Oh, great. Appreciate it. Mark Tate for the record, 1673 West Shoreline Drive, Suite 200, Boise, Idaho, 83702. Well, I'm very excited to be here tonight. I know we met a number of months ago to make an exciting announcement about bringing a school out to the Valor Master Plan community. So this is really a follow-up to that announcement that we have gone through the process now, officially made application. As Doug mentioned, we were approved for the special use permit at Planning and Zoning. Under the development agreement for the project, schools were listed as allowed with special use permits, so that went through P&Z already. So what is before you tonight is actually an amended preliminary plat to add the school site in there. And just as a quick reminder on the overall project, this shows the underlying zones or the original underlying zones of the project, and the area of this preliminary plat was all in the R6 zone. Uh-oh, did something.
I'll get you back one second.
Sorry. All right. This is the approved master plan in the development agreement that shows the various residential densities. You can see that we had a city park as a placeholder in this area we call Village A. And then this was the original preliminary plat that was approved by council maybe a year or so ago, probably less than that now. The area that you see on the west side here has not changed. The area highlighted in red on the east side is what has changed in the plan. So you'll notice the city park is located here along the future 5 Mile Road with residential to the north. The revised layout, you can see, has shifted the city park to the north and added the school site to the west of the city park, putting residential down to the south. We originally had looked at putting the school over along 5 Mile Road. ACHD suggested, because it was classified as a minor arterial, they wanted to see it off of the collector road to the north. We agreed and made that change. We really like how the layout works with the city park directly adjacent to the school. We think that there's some really great synergies that can be used between the two sites. Off-hours parking for, weekend soccer games and things like that could potentially, overflow into the school and vice versa. We do look forward to coming probably back to the city council at some point with like a park agreement, which is also kind of spelled out in our development agreement on what is required for the city park. We would get some form of reimbursement for constructing it for the city, sort of like we did at the Indian Creek Ranch Park, the Strobel Park along Strobel there, where we got a partial reimbursement for that work, but we went ahead and front-loaded all those costs and get reimbursed through impact fees. This is how the new site layout looks in the overall master plan. Just a quick reminder, this area is all the 55 and older part of the project. All of this area in A is built. B over here is built. We're over here building now in the Golf Villages area called Medallion. The neighborhood over here, I don't think we've said this out loud yet, but the neighborhood name will be Tribute. So sticking with the theme of valor, and I believe we gave you the backstory and just kind of the serendipitous nature of the Valor Academy, the Barbonas Foundation, and everything going on out at Valor. We're just super, super excited about how that's coming together. And they have made a formal announcement to the public naming the school the Valor Classical Academy. They do have a process to follow from this point to get the approval for that school. But you can see the timeline outlined there at the bottom. It's aggressive, but very, very exciting. We're actually out there right now doing some trenching in rock with a big rock saw, starting to get utility trenches headed that direction to that part of the project. We're looking at grading the whole site this fall, getting the site work done in early 2025, and the school is looking to actually start construction next year with the goal of being open in the fall of 2026. So in terms of getting schools planned, designed, constructed, open, funded, that is absolutely a rapid pace. And I should have at the beginning introduced a couple of gentlemen that are here. You've met Stephen Lambert, who's the director of Idaho Classical Academies. Sitting next to him is Sean Hunter, who is the principal in waiting of the Valor Academy. And I think we had mentioned how exciting it is to be able to partner with the Barbonas Foundation, the Albertson Foundation, who has sponsored a fellowship to be able to bring Mr. Hunter on at this course and really start planning the school early on. So we're very excited to have him on board. This is a little bit of information on the school, which we went through last time. So if you guys do have any questions specific to the school itself, they're both here. I was here really more to speak to what's before you with the preliminary plat modification. And just to say that it all conforms with the development agreement and underlying zoning, and so we're excited to get this behind us and get going on designs and plans and all that stuff. With that, I would stand for any questions.
Okay, questions for Mr. Tate?
No, spoke with a lot of folks. They're pretty excited about it, so out at CUNA Days, and it was excited to see what you guys put together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you may not have the answer to this, but on the Ballard Academy, it said it was gonna be open to the CUNA School District, but it's also open to West Ada and Boise, I assume?
Yeah, and they can speak to it if I stumble here, but it is a public charter school. I should have made that very clear. So it is open to the public, not, no cost associated with it. And they will identify a primary attendance zone, which will include most of CUNA. And anybody within that boundary of the school will be able to attend the school. They do plan on having busing available, which is unique to charter school, some charter schools. And it is a K through 12 charter school. I believe they plan to open the school as maybe a K through 6 or K through 8, something like that. Initially, and because they have a very specific curriculum, it does make sense for them to, try to get people through the curriculum and make sure that they're doing it and growing that way. But yeah, there is a unique situation with the project overall where the school district boundaries follow this section line here. So this 160 acres is actually in the West Ada School District, and the west side of the project is actually in the CUNA School District. So getting a public school out there, even if there were funds available for it, is difficult, being that it's sort of at the edge of two different districts.
Right.
So this is just an awesome opportunity to serve the community, but also serve, CUNA in general.
All right, any further questions?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. I didn't have anybody sign up to testify. Is there anybody who wishes to testify in this matter? All right, seeing none, the question is rightfully before council.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing and move to deliberation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
You want to have anything?
Looks
Pretty
great.
excited about it, yeah.
Brings down the amount of houses, and then also has more options for our kind of overburdened schools.
And the community was really excited about it, so, and they put together a good product, so. I make a motion that we approve case number 2403S.
Second.
All right, motion is made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on that motion for approval? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's see, consideration to approve ordinance 2024-26, Napa Vineyard zoning correction. Morgan Treasure, Economic Development Director. I'll go ahead and read it so I don't skip that. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of CUNA making certain findings and amending portions of ordinance numbers 2009-09 and 2009-09A to correct a clear zoning designation error contained therein, and direct the city engineer and city clerk, and providing an effective date. Morgan, you may have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. For the record, Morgan Treasure, Economic Development Director. A little uncommon to have a memo come with an ordinance like this, but considering the circumstances, I thought it would be helpful so you didn't just get this in your packet and not have any information. So I'll just kind of summarize what was in the memo. We have received a application to amend the Napa Vineyards development agreement, and as staff, when we went back through that, we found that when that project went through the approval process and came to the ordinance recording, that there was an error made in that recording. So we just went back through. The PUD designation that made it to the recorded paperwork was never a city zone, has never been a city zone. So this ordinance is just put forward to correct that recording error. And Doug and Mark are here if you need to get into any more technical details on that.
Okay? Questions for Morgan?
Sounds like cleanup, error cleanup, so pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Councilman Biggs, do you have anything?
No.
I make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-26.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-26 as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. That takes us to business item B, public art project, Initial Point Real Estate mural approval. Nathan Stanley.
Mayor, Council, Nathan Stanley, City Clerk, 751 West 4th Street. Initial Point Real Estate would like to put this mural on their building. This was approved by the CUNA Arts Commission on August 1st, and it is before you for final approval. And I'll stand for any questions.
And this is the old post office downtown.
Correct.
Okay, that makes more sense now. I was thinking the high school.
It's not meant to be still. I was like, where are these houses?
Kind of cool. I'll put a little color on the building.
Is that Jeff out there? The picture?
With the wings?
Yeah.
Mayor, do you care if I say something? I know that's a really weird thing for me to weigh in on. But the initial point, I don't know does everybody get the significance of that? I think it's kind of cool that this is me geeking out on land use stuff. So, initial point is a surveying thing, and there's an initial point in Idaho where all surveying measurements begin, and it's south of CUNA, and so that thing on the top there is identifying, hey, the initial point's down here, at least that's my understanding of it. And all things and all lines measured in Idaho essentially held from that point, so kind of geeking out for me, just doing a lot of land use work that I do. I think that's a cool thing to recognize, because CUNA is, to my knowledge, the closest city to the initial point. CUNA and Melba are both pretty close to it, but it's down there south, kind of in the middle of nowhere, has a little monument there that most people don't even realize it exists, so.
It has a USGS marker on it.
You know it exists?
They've been there.
Well, not only have we been there, but we had to learn in our first couple of weeks being cops, all the addresses start from that point. All the zero lines, and so we had to know where that was.
The number one failure from the training program was not knowing your addressing system.
Well, yeah, and the Meridian Road, because that's the prime north-south meridian. There's another road called Baseline. I know it goes through Melba. Those are the two primary lines that everything measures from, and they intersect there. So.
Well, I think we should add in the motion then that Mark actually get to help paint.
No, you don't.
I make a motion that we approve the public art project.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Ordinances, item 9A, consideration to approve ordinance 2024-21, An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna making certain findings and enlarging the boundaries of the Cuna Municipal Irrigation System by the inclusion of Ada County Assessors Providence Properties LLC and declaring water rights appurtenant thereto are pooled for delivery purposes and directing the city clerk to record this ordinance as provided by law and directing the city engineer to provide notice of this ordinance to the Boise Cuna Irrigation District, the owners, and update the irrigation system map and providing an effective date.
And make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-21.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
And make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-21 as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, it looks like they got you today, huh?
Yes, they do. I know this one's your favorite.
Yeah.
All right. Item B, consideration to approve ordinance 2024-22, municipal annexation and zoning ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna, making certain findings and declaration of authority and annexing certain real properties to wit, Ada County Assessor's Parcel Number S1 314142375, owned by Linder Land LLC within the unincorporated area of Ada County, Idaho, and contiguous to the corporate limits of the City of Cuna into the City of Cuna, Idaho, establishing the zoning classifications of said real property and directing the city engineer and the city clerk and providing an effective date.
I make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-22.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-22 as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Consideration to approve ordinance 2024-23, a municipal annexation and zoning ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna, making certain findings and declaration of authority and annexing certain real property to wit, Ada County Assessor's Parcel Number S132321280, owned by Associated Pacific Movers Incorporated, within the unincorporated area of Ada County, Idaho, and contiguous to the corporate limits of the City of Cuna, into the City of Cuna, Idaho, and establishing the zoning classifications of said real property, and directing the city engineer and the city clerk, and providing an effective date.
Make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-23.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-23 as published.
Second.
Motion for approval with a second. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs? Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Not a good time to get a frog in my throat. Anyway, consideration to approve ordinance 2024-24, a municipal rezone ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna, making certain findings and declaration of authority and rezoning certain real property to wit, Ada County Assessor's Parcel Numbers S14182333670 and S14182340000, owned by Open Door Rentals LLC, and parcel number S14182336660, owned by Corey Barton, situated within the corporate limits of the city of Kuna, Ada County, Idaho, and amending the zoning map and directing the city engineer and city clerk and providing an effective date.
Make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-24.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-24 as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Consideration to approve ordinance 2024-25. A municipal rezone ordinance of the City Council of the City of Kuna making certain findings and rezoning certain real property to wit Ada County Assessor's parcel number S1311, excuse me, I'm going to start that over. Parcel number S1314120891, owned by Ida Way LLC, situated within the corporate limits of the City of Kuna, Ada County, Idaho, and amending the zoning map and directing the city engineer and the city clerk and providing an effective date.
Make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-25.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-25 as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Consideration to approve ordinance 2024-27, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Kuna making certain findings and enlarging the boundaries of the Kuna Municipal Irrigation System by the inclusion of Ada County Assessor's Leet Family Revocable Trust and declaring water rights appurtenant thereto are pooled for delivery purposes, and directing the city clerk to record this ordinance as provided by law, and directing the city engineer to provide notice of this ordinance to the Boise Kuna Irrigation District, the owners, and update the irrigation system map and providing an effective date.
Make a motion that we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2024-27.
Second.
Motion and second to waive the 3 readings. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-27 as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries.
You got through that?
Yeah. I got to where I couldn't talk or get my throat to clear, but we made it. All right, we do need to have an executive session. If someone would make that motion.
Make a motion that we adjourn to executive session under State Code 74-206F. And we need,
Who do we need in this one? Just council?
Me, in the back, that's Linda Halsey, she's from my office, I'm asking that she stay in as well. And then I think we had Adam and Jared was in attendance last time, I think that'd be appropriate.
so Mark, Jared, Adam, and Ms. Halsey,
And also Nate was.
and Nate.
All right. We had a motion to go to executive session under 74-206F. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion